Hello, Golden State Warriors fan. We're back with an exclusive video bringing you the latest updates. First of all, subscribe to the channel and like the video. It's crucial for you to stay informed with the news daily. Without further ado, let's get to the news. Alright, let's dive straight into this. The Golden State Warriors are once again at the center of the NBA conversation, but not for the reasons fans were hoping. After pulling off a major deadline move last season to bring in six-time All-Star Jimmy Butler and form a new core alongside Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, many expected the offseason to be filled with aggressive moves to capitalize on their shrinking championship window. Instead, what we've seen has been silence, frustration, and uncertainty, especially surrounding Jonathan Kaminga's future with the franchise. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Warriors are caught in a strange spot. On one hand, they've got this veteran trio that needs immediate reinforcements to even dream of competing for another title. On the other hand, they're stuck in negotiations with Kaminga, who is technically a restricted free agent, but is not exactly thrilled about what the Warriors have put on the table. The front office has reportedly offered him a 2-year deal worth $45 million, but Kaminga is not biting. Instead, he's using the leverage he has, threatening to accept the qualifying offer. If he goes that route, Golden State loses trade flexibility because he'd be untradeable until he hits unrestricted free agency next summer. That would put the team in an even tougher spot than they are right now. And here's the twist that has the basketball world buzzing. If the Warriors somehow find common ground with Kaminga and lock him into a short-term deal, that opens the door for a blockbuster move. Rumors are swirling again that Golden State has kept its eyes on LeBron James, and that pairing him with Stephen Curry is not just some fantasy scenario, but something the franchise has actively checked in on with the Lakers. Multiple reports suggest the Warriors have made calls to Los Angeles over the last year and a half to see if there was any pathway to bringing LeBron to the Bay. Imagine that for a second. Curry and LeBron, two players who defined an entire era of the NBA, finally sharing the same jersey. For fans, that would be the ultimate spectacle. From a basketball standpoint, it makes sense too. The Warriors know their championship window is not wide open anymore. Curry is still playing at an elite level, but he's in his late 30s. Draymond has battled injuries and inconsistency. Butler is a gamer, but his own health issues are well documented. This team cannot afford to waste another year sitting still. If they were ever going to swing for the fences, this would be the time. And what bigger swing could there be than LeBron James? But everything comes back to Jonathan Kaminga. Until his situation is resolved, Golden State is stuck in neutral. That's not only delaying potential trades, but it's also keeping them from signing much-needed free agents. One of the names constantly linked to the Warriors is Al Horford, the veteran big man who could provide leadership, defense, and reliable shooting. Reports suggest the Warriors are very interested, but they're waiting. The reason? Cap space flexibility, which depends entirely on whether Kaminga accepts a deal or forces the team into a longer waiting game. It's honestly wild when you think about it. Here we are, almost in September, and the Warriors still have only 9 players with guaranteed contracts. Free agency has passed, other contenders have made their moves, and yet Golden State is sitting with an incomplete roster because they can't figure out what to do with one young forward. Horford is essentially on hold. Other veterans who could fill out the bench are waiting, and the front office doesn't want to commit until this drama is over. Meanwhile, Stephen Curry is staying optimistic. He said publicly that he believes in the group, that Jimmy Butler's first full season will bring better chemistry and deeper playoff potential. Last season, the team fought their way into the Western Conference semifinals, and that was with a roster still figuring itself out. With more time together, Curry believes they can push further. That's the kind of loyalty and faith that has defined his entire career with the Warriors. But not everyone sees it that way. Some analysts argue that Curry's loyalty may cost him a shot at another championship. The comparison with Kevin Durant has been made over and over. Durant left Golden State years ago, searching for new opportunities, and now he's landed in Houston with a young, hungry Rockets team that already pushed the Warriors to 7 games last season. That squad is only getting better, and Durant might finally be in a position to contend again. Critics say Curry is sacrificing titles by staying committed to Golden State no matter what, while Durant continues chasing the best chance to win. That's the backdrop of this entire Warriors offseason. On one side, you've got Curry holding firm, saying this team can still make noise. On the other, you've got outside voices saying the dynasty is over, the window is shut, and the only way Golden State can stay relevant is to make a shocking move like bringing in LeBron James. And let's be honest, if there was ever a time when the Warriors needed to roll the dice, it's now. The West is not getting easier. The Rockets are ascending, the Nuggets are still dangerous, the Timberwolves have a young core that keeps improving, and teams like Oklahoma City and Dallas are loaded with talent. Golden State cannot just sit with 9 guaranteed contracts and hope things magically work out. They need to act. But here's the catch. The longer they wait on Kaminga, the fewer options they'll have. Free agents will sign elsewhere, trade opportunities will disappear, and by the time the season tips off, they could be left scrambling with a thin roster and a disgruntled player holding all the leverage. That's why this whole situation feels like a ticking clock. Every day, without resolution, pushes the Warriors closer to a season where they're asking Curry to do the impossible again, carry an aging team against younger, deeper, and hungrier opponents. Now, imagine this alternate scenario. Kaminga signs that 2-year deal, the Warriors flip him along with some picks and contracts, and suddenly LeBron James is wearing blue and gold. That would completely flip the narrative. Instead of questions about depth and uncertainty, the headlines would scream about the greatest duo of the modern era finally teaming up. Curry's selflessness and shooting, LeBron's versatility and leadership. It would be a dream for fans and a nightmare for the rest of the league. And yet, as exciting as that idea is, it's far from guaranteed. The Lakers would have to agree, LeBron would have to be on board, and Golden State would have to accept the risks of going all in on a group of stars all in their mid to late 30s. It's not a move about building for the future. It's about chasing one last run, one last parade before the dynasty officially closes its chapter. Right now, though, none of that can even be seriously considered until the Kaminga drama is sorted out. That's the domino that has to fall. Until then, the Warriors remain frozen, watching the rest of the league move forward while they stand still, hoping that one signature can unlock a chance at history. The Warriors' offseason limbo feels like one of those moments where an entire franchise is holding its breath, waiting for one decision to shift the course of its future. Jonathan Kaminga may not be an all-NBA superstar yet, but the weight of his contract standoff is enormous because of what it represents. He's young, athletic, still developing, and if Golden State can convince him to sign for the short term, he becomes the centerpiece of any trade that could alter the trajectory of this veteran core. But if he refuses, the team loses leverage, loses flexibility, and essentially commits itself to running it back with a roster that has obvious holes. That is the razor's edge this organization is standing on, and the fan base is restless because they can see how fragile the situation is. The idea of pairing Stephen Curry and LeBron James feels almost too big to be real, but that is exactly why it keeps coming back into the headlines. For nearly 2 decades, those two have been the twin pillars of the NBA's biggest storylines. They've clashed in the finals, dominated entire stretches of the league, and rewritten what it means to lead a franchise. To see them side by side would be like watching 2 separate eras merge into one. For Golden State, it's more than just the spectacle. It's about maximizing whatever time is left with Curry at the peak of his powers. He is still capable of dropping 30 points on any given night, still the most feared shooter the game has ever seen, but he cannot carry a team alone anymore. The Warriors need another anchor, and the possibility of LeBron wearing their jersey is a dream scenario that would turn their fading dynasty into the league's biggest storyline overnight. But let's not forget the reality. LeBron James is not an easy player to trade for, not financially, not politically, and certainly not emotionally for a Lakers franchise that has built its entire identity around superstars. For the Warriors to make it happen, they would need Kaminga as a headliner, along with draft assets, and likely a mix of contracts to match salary. That is why Kaminga's decision is so central. It is not just about paying him, It is about whether he becomes the key that unlocks the door to something much larger. Until he decides, everything is frozen. The waiting game is not only frustrating fans, it's also leaving the roster thin. 9 guaranteed contracts in late August is not what you want when training camp is around the corner. The Western Conference is brutal, and other contenders have filled their benches with veterans, two-way players, and specialists who can swing a playoff series. Meanwhile, Golden State has been stuck in neutral, and players like Al Horford, who would be a perfect fit with his ability to stretch the floor and bring leadership, remain unsigned because the team cannot commit to his deal until they know what space they're working with. The irony here is that Horford, even at his age, might be exactly the type of glue guy this roster needs. He wouldn't be a savior, but he would give them reliable minutes, smart defense, and another voice in a locker room that is trying to balance old stars with young talent. Yet the Warriors keep waiting, watching, holding back. This uncertainty creates a ripple effect. Curry has been public about his belief that Butler's first full season will change the dynamic, that last year's playoff push was just the beginning. He has every reason to feel that way because Jimmy Butler, when healthy, is one of the fiercest competitors in basketball. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Health is never guaranteed with Butler, and counting on him as your big mid-season acquisition may not be enough in a conference where the Rockets, Timberwolves, Nuggets, and Mavericks are all loading up. That is why voices outside the Bay Area are skeptical, suggesting that Curry's loyalty to Golden State is admirable but costly. Unlike Durant, who keeps chasing situations that give him the clearest path to titles, Curry has stayed faithful to the Warriors, even if that means he might never hold another trophy. The contrast between those two former teammates has become one of the most fascinating narratives in the league. Durant's move to Houston has reinvigorated his career, putting him in the middle of a young, talented roster that already proved it could push Golden State to the brink. He has the luxury of joining a team on the rise, while Curry is tasked with squeezing the last bit of life from a dynasty that has more years behind it than ahead. If the Warriors cannot add another star, the comparisons will only grow louder. Durant chasing rings in new cities, Curry staying true, but possibly finishing his career with only the banners he already hung years ago. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers are circulating across the basketball world, sending shockwaves through the Golden State Warriors fanbase, after head coach Steve Kerr reportedly made a startling declaration regarding a key player on the roster. According to insiders, Kerr is allegedly distancing himself from one of his own team members, a statement that has ignited speculation, debate, and intrigue in equal measure. The remark, interpreted as "he doesn't play with me anymore," has left players, analysts, and supporters scrambling to decipher its meaning, origin, and implications. Sources close to the organization hint at an underlying tension that has been simmering behind closed doors for months, with the coach reportedly frustrated by attitudes, performance, or off-court distractions that he feels compromise the team's cohesion. Fans have been quick to draw connections to recent matches, scrutinizing the players' minutes, role in critical games, and the coach's cryptic post-game interviews for clues. Social media platforms are abuzz with reactions ranging from shock and disappointment to speculation about trade possibilities, locker room dynamics, and the broader strategy that Kerr might be signaling. While no official confirmation has emerged, the rumor alone has created a ripple effect, raising questions about leadership, loyalty, and the future of a team that has consistently been in championship contention. Observers point out that the timing of this remark could dramatically affect morale and public perception. The situation appears even more tangled when considering the historical context of Kerr's relationship with the player in question. Reports indicate that both the coach and player have had moments of synergy and success, contributing to playoff runs and high-profile victories, yet the recent developments suggest a fracture that could redefine the team's hierarchy. Analysts are speculating that disagreements over playing style, commitment, or off-court behavior may have reached a tipping point, leading to the coach's stark statement. The internal narrative, as described by sources close to the Warriors, hints at repeated attempts at communication and intervention, which apparently failed to yield the desired results, leaving Kerr publicly and privately exasperated. The rumor also raises questions about how this tension could influence game strategies, rotations, and player development, particularly if the team must adjust to a suddenly uncertain roster dynamic. Fans are dissecting each interview, tweet, and press conference for subtle signs of discord, projecting potential outcomes ranging from internal reconciliation to abrupt roster changes. Sports media outlets are running speculative pieces almost hourly, feeding the frenzy with commentary on what the coach's words mean for the immediate future. The implications stretch beyond just the individual player. They touch on team chemistry, front office decision-making, and the broader culture within one of the NBA's most scrutinized franchises. As such, the rumor has become a focal point for narratives about leadership, loyalty, and the pressures of high-stakes professional sports. Meanwhile, the player at the center of this controversy has reportedly maintained a professional public demeanor, issuing measured statements that neither confirm nor deny the reports, further fueling speculation and intrigue. Sources close to the locker room claim that teammates are divided, with some allegedly taking sides or quietly expressing concern over potential disruptions to team harmony. This has led to a palpable sense of uncertainty, both internally and among the fan base, as debates continue over the significance of the coach's words and the player's future. The rumor has prompted broader discussions about accountability, respect, and the challenges of managing a team filled with star talent, each with distinct personalities and ambitions. Observers note that the timing of these statements, coinciding with a critical stretch of the season, could complicate efforts to maintain focus, rhythm, and cohesion on the court. Analysts are now attempting to map potential scenarios, ranging from quiet reconciliation to trades, reduced playing time, or even contract renegotiations, each carrying its own implications for team performance and morale. Social media has amplified these discussions, with trending hashtags, heated debates, and viral commentary reflecting widespread fascination with the situation. Even rival teams appear to be monitoring developments, sensing an opportunity to capitalize if the rumored tension affects performance. The atmosphere surrounding the Warriors, usually characterized by strategic confidence and playoff ambitions, now carries a sense of uncertainty and whispered speculation, highlighting the complex interplay of personality, performance, and public perception in professional basketball. In addition, insiders suggest that this rumored rift might have roots extending beyond basketball performance alone, touching on personality clashes, media interactions, or differing philosophies about leadership and team culture. Sources indicate that Kerr has historically been a coach who values cohesion, mutual respect, and professionalism, and any deviation from these principles may be treated with visible frustration, especially when team objectives are at stake. Analysts are speculating that the coach's comments reflect a broader statement about standards and expectations, signaling to the league, fans, and players alike that tolerance for disruptive behavior is limited, even in a team featuring high-profile stars. The rumor has prompted discussions about how such tensions are managed in elite sports organizations, with some comparing the situation to historical cases where internal disputes either catalyzed or crippled team success. Fans are theorizing whether this publicized remark is a strategic maneuver, intended to provoke self-reflection, elicit a change in behavior, or even facilitate trade negotiations, a tactic occasionally employed in professional sports circles. Observers also note that such revelations, whether fully accurate or partially exaggerated, inevitably shape public narratives, influence media coverage, and affect the psychological landscape of a locker room, potentially altering performance, motivation, and interpersonal dynamics. Amid all this, the Warriors' season trajectory hangs in the balance, with a rumored tension casting a long shadow over expectations and raising questions about whether the team can maintain focus, unity, and resilience in the face of swirling speculation. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.